Dave here, how are you? Today on the show, which starts at 11 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Time, we will be doing everything by hand. I'm going to go through some of these tools down here. We're going to cut some miters by hand. This is one that I've been brushing up on. And we're going to make a shooting board. And we're going to make the shooting board for shooting 45 degrees. The other thing we'll do is have a look at some of the different types of hand saws for cutting miters, some that I'd recommend, some that I'd say possibly not a good idea. We will also have a look down here at this thing. Now this is the first thing that I've created in Fusion 360, sent it through Prusa Slicer, and then actually printed it. Not my design. I will share that with you on the show, but it works great. It is for setting these things so that they're perfect. Okay. Not too far away. See you soon. Dave here. How are you? Dave here, how are you? Today is the 6th of February 2022. I think I got the introduction pretty good. How's the sound and the AV? All going well, I'm hoping. I can see the AVs coming through, but I can't hear the sound because I turned it off, otherwise you get it bouncing backwards and forwards. Okay, John, how are you? AV, all good. Thanks, Peter. Socials are all done. Thanks anyway. All right, today on the show, first of all, I'm going to tell you about something that was really weird that happened during the week. Now, you know that I live in a country where there's venomous snakes and birds that eat venomous snakes and all that kind of stuff. Well, during the week, I was driving along near my place, just coming home, and there was a kookaburra flying along almost beside me. And I thought, for sure, he's going to get out of the way. But I noticed there was a couple of kookaburras chasing him, and in his mouth was one of these things. Not as big as that, but there he was flying along with this prize, a small red-bellied black snake in his mouth, in his beak. And I thought for sure he's going to get out of the way. But no, I kept driving thinking that he'd move, but he didn't. Now, my window was open on the driver's side as well. And the bird flew straight into the side of the car, bounced off, dropped the snake. Thank heavens he hit just below where the window was open. Dropped the snake on the road, saw him jump back down, grabbed the snake on his face. As I'm going along, I'm checking what's happening in the rear vision mirror. So that's just amazing. If you've got a story like that, I've never seen that happen. All right, so this week on the show, the shadow frame for the print is all finished. And this is why I decided to do the show on making miters using hand tools only, because I know a lot of people don't have the same situation. They don't have this set up. They have either a little miter box like that, and possibly they just cut the miters and put it together and hope that it's going to be all good. So showing you, this is how the frame came up. Now I'm very happy with that. It's had a nice miters. That's what you get. I'm going to show you how to get miters like this really nicely. The frame comes slightly in front of the print, so I'm very happy with that as well. And there's a nice shadow all the way around, so it's good. It's held on just 4 screws. I've drilled a hole, countersunk hole all the way around, and you can see the board that the canvas is mounted on is you probably won't hear me because I've got the canvas over the top of it, is substantial and it's pine. So all I did was drill the holes through the rosewood, Queensland rosewood. Didn't drill any pilot holes in the pine, didn't really need it, and 1-inch screws or 25 millimeters. All right, so I'm hoping everyone is still out there. I don't see too many comments happening at the moment. Oh, thanks. There you go. I speak and it happens. A bit cheeky, aren't I? All right, so that's that. And I've also sent out all of the replacement Stanton dog locks to everyone that's purchased from me. I did a new run during the week, And big thanks to Derek Lark for designing these for me in Fusion 360. Now, he did that, sent it up to me. I transferred it over to Process Slicer and then put them on the 3D printer, and away they went. And they've just come up magic. What is that part, you say? It's the section that slides into the T-track on the guide rail for Festool track saws and Makita track saws and Triton track saws. So this is such a professional looking unit. Now, I do have links in the description box below if you want a pair. I will post them out to you. It's free postage. Only Australia at this stage. They even print, these 3D printers, they even print the thread. Look at this. How cool is that? Just amazing. Sad to hear they've cancelled the Melanie Wood show for another year. Well, that's just going to keep on happening, I think, Steve, until they work out whether we're going to live with this this condition or what we're going to do. I don't know. Okay, so that's, and thank you, John, for doing the top part for me. So John Lafferty designed this part. Well, he didn't design it. I designed it, and I sent down all the dimensions. He put it into Fusion 360. This is before I became Fusion 360 savvy with training wheels on. And those things work just brilliantly. All right, next thing. The 45-degree shooting board. Now, to do that, first of all, you need to be able to cut a mitre. Now, there's all sorts of different ways of cutting a mitre. You can just use a combination square, like so, and use the 45-degree on it, and mark across a piece of timber. Use the 90-degree to go down the other side, and then just do it by eye. And a lot of people can do that. That's fine. I'm reading as well, a few iterations to get the thread to work correctly. Indeed it was. Okay, so the other thing is you can use a dedicated square, or you can use what's called a mitre box, which is this guy here. And this is a cheap one that I got from a store that I buy my food from. And the saw just drops in there. But the problem is, see that? Now that's going to happen in a lot of these kind of things. That's for cutting square and also for cutting at 45 degrees. Same thing. Now you might say, well, what's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with that is when you put your mitre together, if they've both got that tip, instead of being flat, sitting on a flat surface, they're going to tip up like that. And your mitres are going to be all over the place. So it may not be the right thing for you. There's another thing you can use, and that is something like this. And this is a dedicated handheld mitre saw. And these are okay, but there is still a little bit of slop, but nowhere near as much as that mitre box. That mitre box, I guess, is more along the lines of cutting stuff for just framing timber, like actually cutting larger sections of wood that it's going to be a bit rough. Also, the teeth on this are 10 TPI. You'll see on the side, it says 10 TPI just here. That'll give you an indication. With picture framing, you want to get down around about 20 TPI. This one here is possibly around 16. It's a coarse blade. You can buy other blades that are finer. The finer the blade, the better the cut's going to be. All right, feel your pain, Carl. Temperature's about the same. Now, with this, I'm going to do a cut with both of them. And we'll start with this one first. Now, my suggestion is if you get something like this, mount it on a piece of plywood. There's a couple of holes here. So I'm going to put a couple of screws in there. Just 1 inch, 25 mil. And hopefully they're not going to go all the way. Got it. It's going to work all right. Now you want to hold it down so that you've got something for it to hold on to. Now I'm going to bite into. I'm going to use these. Now I've done a video on how to turn these into a dovetail clamp without destroying them. Like, I get all sorts of comments. There's still plenty of lip on these to work in the guide rails, to hold the guide rail down. That's what these are designed for. So it's not going to make any difference to that. So I can slide that in, and I put a little bit of candle wax on it. It's not going anywhere, but I'll put one at the other end as well. See, a lot of people, I know a lot of people have got this style of clamp, and if you want to be able to use it for, I forget the name of the mob that do this kind of stuff, Micro Jig, I think. They have a similar kind of thing where it's straight out of dovetail, but you can't really use theirs in the guide rail. So these clamps are the ones that I like. Bessie, make them. Okay, held nice and tight. And you'll notice down inside there, we'll go to CalCam because I want to show you something there. This one. You notice at the bottom, it's just got the plastic there. Well, if I kept on cutting with this saw, I'm going to cut right through the plastic, and then it's going to stuff the jig. So my advice is to get a piece of plywood. This is just 1/4 inch ply. I've cut it to the right width, drop it in. Okay, and that's a sacrificial base for you. Now let's cut a piece to start. I'm going to cut it this direction, that way, and I'm going to use this as my guide. All right. Now already I can see bits of blue plastic. It's very aggressive. I can see bits of blue plastic on the bench there coming out of here. So as I said, possibly not the one to get. You really got to hold onto it tight. You could put a clamp on it, I guess. But the end result is we have something that's not too bad as far as the 45 is concerned. And it's not too bad this way. See, this part here has really got to be 90 degrees to this. But look at all of this, all the bits of plastic. I reckon this would last 20 cuts, and then you'd be off to the store to get another one. All right. Move this one out of the way. Put it over there. Come back to this camera. So, at a pinch, it'll get you out of trouble. And it's cheap. I think they were $15. No. Right, now the next one is this one. Now, I like this one, even though it's plastic everywhere. It's mounted on a piece of board for you already, and the board's already got rubber feet on it, so it doesn't slide around. It has a stop at the end, so I can adjust here, so I can set the length of the timber, which I might do at the moment, as a matter of fact. And it can come a fair way out. It goes all the way through out the other side, so I can bring it all the way out to about here. I could cut a couple of feet with it, so around 600 mil, I think. It's adjustable as far as 45 degrees, and also can do compound cuts, so compound miters. There is a clamp here. Just leave it there. It's rubbish. So what I do with this one is I use one of these little guys to hold the piece of wood. I'll move those planes out of the way. And we will get to the shooting board in a second. It's very, very easy to do all of this. It really is. I'll spin this around to 45. I'll go up to CalCam so you can have a look straight down on top and see what I'm talking about. All right, over here. How's that? So down the bottom here is a series of degrees with indents. So you get it around to 45 and this little thing slides into position. So I can rotate it around to wherever I want. 90 degrees, and that's a lock there, and then back around here to 45. I'm going to cut it at 90. Move that right out of the way, I think. Let me see. I'm going to cut this piece to 90. So I'm going to hold it up, out of the way, and I want to cut it about there. Get the clamp and lock it on. Like so. Making sure everything's pushed down. All right, here we go. I might switch around to this camera around the side. That's okay, you'll see what I'm doing from there. Here we go. The dog doesn't like this noise. What I might do is do the same as what I'd done before and hold it down. The vibration is making that noise. I love this bench. Come back in. There. Hopefully that'll be less noise. Yep. Just a little bit. Gotcha. Now that is pretty good. And we're going to cut a 45 with this one as well. So I'll release that. I'll cut a 45 this direction. Like so. And making sure I'm the same width because I want these two to be the same kind of position. About there. There's a little guy at the back here that you can slide up, unlock, and that'll hold the blade up out of the way for you. See that? Just pivoting on the end. And then use this clamp. Okay, release this. That'll come down. I don't have to hold on to the end at all. It's all working well. So here we go. 45. I'd actually be wearing earmuffs on this before I'd be wearing them on the Capex. But it does a decent job. This is a great tool. As I say, the clamp on it is rubbish. Use something like this little click clamp and it'll be good. We'll release those. I'm doing reading at the same time. Everyone's scary story of flying snakes. Yeah, you're not wrong. Put a sacrificial board under your miter saw so I have a zero cut here. That's a good idea, Michael. Great idea. Reading through. I was making picture frames recently. I had the table saw jig to make something. David's jig used an aluminium framing square and is super accurate. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm going to move this guy out of the way. So those things, they're about 100 Australian if you want one. I'll show you how good the angles are. Come over to here. Well, if I come up from there, you'll see it. And at the back, that's pretty good. and then 45 degrees. That's not bad. And on the other side, 45. Now this square is slightly out, and I'm going to show you how to check whether a square is out, how to test it. And I will use my good square. And a piece of wood down there in the miter box here. That's where it is. All right, let me say with this camera here is fine. What you do is you get a square that you know is straight. Now, how do I know if a square is square? CalCam again, easiest way to do it. You get your square and you put on a piece of wood, making sure that this side is dead straight. I'll do it. Check that it's straight. Yes, that is good. Going to mark a line in the middle, like that. Okay. Now I'm going to flip the square over and bring it up onto the other side. And I can see that that line is perfect. I'll bring it up close for you so you can see. Believe me, it's perfect. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set this at 45 degrees, oh sorry, at 90, and we're going to check that the end is square, this end. So I'm going to put the square across it, and that is very square. That's beautiful. There's no light getting through there at all. I can bring it up from the end, so you can see it just disappearing. That's great. Now we're going to set it around at 45 degrees. And we're going to go 45 degrees off the side. Okay. Let's go to there. Done. Now we're going to go 45 off here. And if that's still on the line, let me see if you can see it there, bringing it up. That is very, very good. Now, don't be tempted to say, all right, well, I'm putting a square line, a 45 degree across here, and if I spin it around and go off the other side, and it's 45, it's going to be perfect, because no, that's just rubbish. That's not what it's doing. Who's Dad talking to? Exactly right. So I will prove my point with that combination square. We'll go to the other end, and I know this is square. Well, I know this one is square, so we'll go off this side this time, and we'll go 45 degrees off the side, like so, and draw a line. We'll flip it over here, and we'll put it on it. That, my friend, is how much it is out, which is huge. See up the end here? That's a good 2.5 millimeters back to nothing. Now that's over, say, 4 inches long, 100 mil long. That picture frame, I'll show you on the frame. If I had done that here, this mitre here, 2 millimeters out there, this is 600 long, so it would have been 24 millimeters down this end. It would have been down here. That's where this mitre would have ended up down here. And that's just rubbish. So it really does pay to have a nice square. Now what are we going to do with it next? Well, we're 25 minutes into the show. I think what we'll do next is we'll have a quick look at this thing that I did on the 3D print. Slide down here and we can go to James Womack. Now James sent in some drawings to me, or some pictures and a drawing of a thing that he made from aluminum. It's his story, so we'll call it aluminum Vinny for everyone else. It's aluminium. Starrett is a good idea. Empire quality is not what it used to be, no way. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go to this drawing that James sent over to me. And I'll start reading the story. Dave, here are some pictures and dimensions drawings for my calibration tool. I machined it from a piece of 1-inch square 6061 aluminum, but a piece of hardwood would work. This tool only rides on the 2 green Teflon strips. It clears everything else at least by 0.01 of an inch or 0.015 of an inch. So we'll go to the next picture, and that's it sitting on the Teflon strips on a Festool guide rail. Start by setting the strips, start by the flag stops to 10-inch, 254 millimeters. I like to use about a 1-foot piece of plywood so everything is close, and clamp the TSO GRS 16 and guide rail on it and make a cut. Then push the shoulder on the tool against the cut and then adjust the calibration rods to the other end of the tool. Let's see if we've got another picture here from James. There we go. There's his piece of plywood that he's cut using the GRS 16 as the guide. And this is how he's setting the flags. So he sets it at 10 inches, which is 254 millimeters, so 25.4 millimeters times 10, 254, just for you doubting Thomases out there. As you can see in the photo, I like to pinch the tool against the TSO rails. If you want to calibrate to the splinter guard, just hang the guide rail splinter guard off the edge of the piece of plywood and push the shoulder of the tool against the splinter guard. Now, there's other things he's gone into here, and he's told me about making an aluminium block to push up against the back, because we discussed this, and I said, well, that's what I'm doing now. I'm just measuring off the back of the rail, and it works really well. So here's mine that I've made. This is a 3D print. I'll show you in a second. Now, he says, I'm 67 and live in Texas in the USA. My family has been in metal fabrication and machine shop services since 1945. Sold the business in 2015 and continue to work for the people who bought it for 3 years. Now I'm retired but have a CNC mill and lathe in my garage and do a few small jobs there, but mostly enjoy working on wooden projects. I'm not that good as yet, but I'm learning. I really enjoy watching the videos. The drawing is full scale. I hope it works out for you. Let me know. Well, I got back and told James that I think it's a fantastic thing. And there's a picture of me using it. So set to 254 millimeters or 10 inch. There's the little flag on the bottom of the picture. And then I've adjusted the stop to push up against the end of that 3D print. Now what I want to do is show you something here. And this is where I've got John Lafferty to thank. The first one I printed, which is this one, because it's the right color. The first one I printed got a bow this way. I don't know if you'll be able to see it there. Possibly, yeah, you can see it there. Now I printed it like that. So it was sitting on the hot bed on the printer, and then when I took it off, all of this cooled and it contracted. So John said to me, Dave, why don't you print it on its side? Which I did. And so I printed it this side sitting down. Now, it's a lot stiffer here than it is here. See, this part here would flex quite easily. This is offering a lot more resistance to any effect that the heat would have had here, and it's a narrower section down here. So the silly little things that you just don't even think about. This works perfectly. So from the inside of here to there is 254 millimeters on the knocker, 10 inches. So this hangs over the edge of the splinter guard actually to the cut, because your splinter guard might be damaged. So if the splinter guard's damaged, it's good to do a cut using the GRS 16 to start. Then put this on and rest it up against the piece you've cut. Don't remove anything. Have the stops there. Set it to 254. Slide the bumper up against the end of that. Tighten it off. Your rods are set, or your parallel guides are set. Do the pair of them at the one end. Then undo it. Undo the parallel guide that's the left hand and take it all the way up the guide rail. And parallel cutting, here you go. Brilliant. So thanks very much for that, James, John, and also Derek for doing those other things for me as well. So there we go. That's that part. What have we got next on the show? Next on the show, we're going to do the shooting board. Don't worry. Remember a couple of weeks ago, the saw blades, the saw blades. Let's see if I can find a picture of those in position in my saw blade rack. There they are, labelled up the back, and you'll notice at the top, just to the right-hand side of the first flay blade there, try saying that fast, I've screwed a small section of timber to the underside of the shelf above, and that stops anything going anywhere. It's not falling anywhere. I've got my dial indicator there and a couple of push blocks. That is such a handy little spot. I can see each blade at, like that. So easy. All right, what else have we got here? We've got some other pictures there for later on in the show. Let's come back to this one. I'm breaking it up a little bit so that you've got time to absorb what I've said, and we're going to move on to the next part now, which is making the actual shooting board. Now, a shooting board is not something that you lie on to have target practice. It is for guiding a hand plane along against a stop set at a certain angle. Now, one thing you need to know with a hand plane, it has a mouth here in the sole. Now that mouth is closing off the blade on both sides. So this part here and this part here are always going to be referencing off the jig that we make. The blade sticking out, well, it's going to shave off a little bit of the jig, but not the bottom part of the jig. That's something that had me kind of befuddled a little bit while I was doing my first ones ages ago. Now, we're going to make it using a piece of melamine because it's nice and slippery. So this is going to be my baseboard. And we're going to use a piece of plywood. This is 1/2 inch, I think. Could be 3/8, 10 mil. I don't know. It doesn't really matter that much. Now, this is going to sit, bring it back. This is going to sit on top of the melamine. And the plane is going to go on its side and be able to travel backwards and forwards. Okay, this is why we want it nice and slippery. Now, one of the things you need to make sure is that your plane, the side of the plane, is 90 degrees to the sole. If it's not 90 degrees, it's going to give you an angle. It's going to kick it out. So I have my machining square here, and I can check, and you can tell me if that's 90 degrees. It is. I'll tell you now. Both sides, because this is works two sides for a reason. I don't know if other people do it this way, but I do. All right, so we're going to use the Stanton bench. And let's go to the camera over here so you can see what's happening. There we go. Now I've already put a couple of dogs in the skirt for the bench. And we can just sit that there. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Slide the, get a couple of clamps without disturbing the dog. Whoop. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. Why did I even open my mouth and say without disturbing? There she is. She's come around the corner. You woke me up again. Again, candle wax in there to make them slide nice and easily. You can hop back in there. Go and have a sleep. Yep. Vicky's at work today, so I'm dog sitting. Now I'm going to plane this flat and square. I could have run it over the jointer, but this is all hand tools. People have said I don't do hand tools enough, so I'm using my jointer fence. Slide that along. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I'll be using my straight edge in a minute. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? until I get a full shaving, and I have a full shaving now. We want this as straight as possible because it's going to be our guide for the sole of the plane. Remember, the side of the plane is going to be sitting on the board that's going to be behind this. This is going to be guiding it. So I need to check. Now that's just beautiful. I think we need to go around to the front camera again so you can see it. Oop, wrong one. There we go. Nice. There is no tap there. What I'm going to do to actually highlight that, if I have a battery in this, I'll put a battery in it, is shine a torch from behind it. Now I might be asking for trouble here, but anyway. It looked good to my old eyes, so we'll see what happens. Can you see any light coming through? It's a bright light, I'm telling you. So that's pretty good. Okay. Now that we have it nice and straight, and again, all hand tools, I didn't have a crank generator to run the torch, but not to worry. I may even use an electric drill a little bit later on because I haven't got an egg beater drill here. I'd love to have one. All right, so that's nice and straight, and also, very importantly, square. Just beautiful. I love that number 6. The turner number 6 is just a joy. Right, now we're going to drill some holes, and we're going to screw this to the melamine. I'll take that off. Gonna run out of spots to put things. All right, doesn't matter where, just as long as it's on it and it's got enough shoulder here for the plane to ride on. So I'm just going to bring that up against the edge. That'll be fine. A couple of marks. Let's go there, 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 and there, and maybe there, there, and there. Not a lot. Don't need, there's 7 screws. I'll move this out of the way. We'll drill these holes. I don't know if this is something you're interested in or not. I think you would be. You know, there's 92 people watching, so maybe they're thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind doing a couple of frames as well. All right, here we do. Drill a few holes. Wow, that drill's seen better days. I think I'll get another one. That's a 4mm. Get another 4. I'm hoping this one's better. Yep. I'm not using any sacrificial board behind. It would give me a cleaner hole if I did. But I'm just punching it out quickly. Now I actually want to have it with a countersink. That one's not long enough. That one might work better. Yeah. Did you know these guys here have got Centratec chuck capacity? This is good. I'll show you in the, I won't use that drill. I'll use this. I'll put it straight in the Centratec chuck. These are a Mana tool. I've been looking everywhere for something that I can get that's non-marking, drill, countersink, goes into a Centratec chuck. Turn it up faster. Because now what I can also do is I can drill from the back, and that will clean off the rubbish from behind. See how I've got these burrs? If we come in from the back with the countersink, it cleans them up a bit. Come on. What do you think of James's idea with the parallel guide setter? I think it's great. Smart cookies out there. Okay, and screwdriver, put that back in it. These are great chuckers. That's the back. I know which is my good edge because there was a cut on the other side. You can, of course, Paul. You could do. Talking about adjusting for the lateral adjustment with the plane. So that's the lateral adjuster. Yep. I'm glad you're out there, Paul. I'm going to go past a little bit, both ends, because I'd rather it was longer than shorter, because it's going to support the toe and the heel of the plane more whilst it's resting on here. Ah, great. So we've got someone else that does shooting boards. Of course, there's going to be heaps of people does shooting boards. This is something that I'm just doing here. If you're interested, that's fine. One. This is one that I don't think many people, I don't know if anyone else is going to do one like I do it. They are amazing, Carl. The amount of stuff I love. Everything they do, I like. Okay, now that's screwed down there. I'm going to do something here. Basically, that's a face mark, probably a little bit late, and an edge mark down there as well. Okay, so thanks. Right, now 45 degrees. Let's go to Carl Cow, and I'll show you why mine is going to be different. Come over here a bit further. We don't need the straight edge anymore. You can go down there and that. Okay, there we go. Oof. Ha. Okay. We know that this square is 45 degrees. We can now use this beside it and set it like that. And we know that that's going to be perfect. And what we're going to do is we're going to drill an 8mm hole down there. So I'll drill an 8mm hole in this piece only. To do that, I'm going to bring it over here, park it over one of my holes there, come to about there. All right. We're going to drill another one down here. All right. And we're going to put it against our perfectly good guy there and bring it so it's just on the edge. Just on the edge. I'm going to hold it there with my hand, and now I'm going to drill down through there I'm down through and into the melamine. Blow all that out. I'm going to get a piece of dowel and check that that will fit. It will. And I'm going to drive it in using a mallet. I'm hoping this is the right piece. I had two pieces of dowel here. One was really good, the other one was just a little tight. I think that one's the little tight. Okay, I'll pull that one out, we'll put this one in, slightly looser. That way around, of course. That's good. I'm going to drive it into the hole a little. See, it's just coming through a little bit there. We'll come through a bit more. Go to the front camera, might be easier for you. Yes, it does. It's a lovely square. It's got indents at 157.5, 135, 112.5, 90, 67.5, 45, and 22.5. There you go. So I think that's going to be about deep enough. I'm going to put it over the hole that we've got there. Drive it in. Until it's there. What do you think? Now, I'm going to use my flush cut saw. Cut it off so it's out of the way. Done. Now, we already have a hole down this end. I'll use the square again. I'll go to CalCam again because this warrants it. I'll move a couple of these things out of the way so you can see exactly what I'm up to and have a drink. Still got 15 minutes left. We're going to do it easy. Easy, easy, easy. Now, you can see this will rotate. This is a pivot. So I'm going to bring this up, I'm going to swing it back until it's touching it perfectly. Next thing. Drill a hole down there, making sure it's perfect. A clamp on there would be the best idea. I'm going to pull it back up again. Actually, what I'm going to do is put it there, and now I'm going to put a pencil line down the back, so I've got a reference with an arrow like that. Okay, you may not be able to see that, but believe me, it's there. Okay, going to lean on that as hard as I can. And if it's moved, it doesn't worry me because I can always do it again. And then we're going to drive this one in there. And then we're going to test. It moved just a little bit. You see that? Just a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll take that one out. Give me a second. I'll use my pliers to pull it up. And a block of some sort. We'll use this one. Got it? So now we're going to do something different again. I'm going to clamp it on that line. I've got a deep throat clamp here, so I can reach it. It's crucial you get it right. If it's wrong, it's going to end in tears. It would be a waste of time doing it if it's wrong. It's got to be perfect. So we'll go to the front camera again. It has to be right. It just has to be right. I'm going to spin it around towards me so I can get the clamp on it. Okay. That's perfect. I should have done that in the first instance. So that is now perfectly on my line. See, there's that little arrow here that I put there, and the line is showing perfectly there. That is perfectly 45 degrees. Now what I'm going to do is drill a hole down through there like I should have done in the first place. Get it so it's reasonably straight. Bit awkward, but not to worry. Just checking how we're going as far as going into ply and melamine is concerned. Okay, plywood. I think I've just gone into the melamine. That's fine. Yep, I'm in. I'm going to do something as well on this one that I should have possibly also done on the previous one. Let's go this end. I'm going to use this end, and I'm going to do a little bit of sanding, but not all the way. I'm going to sand it just near the tip. Seems funny to build a 45 of the Stanton bench when you're already 45-degree holes built into it. Well, there's a lot of people don't have the Stanton bench, and that's another way of doing it. It's a great method of doing it. So I'm doing a very small sand on the end there. I'll drive this in, and there's a reason. Done. Undo the clamp just to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. Oh, that's beautiful. Cut her off. Got it. Now, I have now a shooting board that's at 45 degrees. What I can also do is try and lift that out. If I can't lift it out, it doesn't matter. I can get it out later on using a chisel under the back here and just prise it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill more holes, and then I can use this end, flip it over, and have it going across here at 90 degrees using exactly the same method. I'm going to drill a hole down through here and put a screw in there. So in time, those dowels will get a little more relaxed, could I say that, and it'll be easier to pull them out. They'll stay in here all the time. That's not an issue. I'll possibly put a little bit of glue in there so they stay. But you can see where I'm coming from with this. Now, one of the other things I could do is after I've got that there, rather than doing all of my shooting from here, I could put another one this direction and turn the plane around and shoot from the other side. So for people that are left-handed, you will want your shooting board to be on this side. So I could have a piece of wood here, or I can put this up here and I could push the plane with my left hand. The reason I know that is because there's people in my family that are left-handed and they're learning how to do this at the moment. So let's stick with this one for the moment, and we'll clamp it down and we'll put a piece of wood in there that's already had a 45 cut on it. So this one here, remember? And we'll actually cut another one at 45. I'm going to do that straight away. I'll cut another one at 45, and the dog's going to run away again because she hates the noise. She's already got her ears pulled back. She saw the saw coming up this way. She's got her ears pulled back. You're not going to make that horrible noise again, are you? I'm going to do this because I want to test the miter at the end that we've got 90 degrees when two of them are brought up together. Why not leave the 45 degree fence and simply add an extra 90 for removal? Well, all of these things are possible, but I would like to be able to pull one out, put the other one back, pull one out, put the other one back, because I'm working from one side all the time. If I had the 45 degrees there permanent, I wouldn't be able to get to the 90 as easily, depending on the width of the timber that I'm planing. I'm shooting the end. Now remember, with a piece of wood, this is maybe 32 millimeters across. Well, the length of here is going to be longer because it's the hypotenuse of the triangle, basically, that we've got here. So if I had some timber that was maybe 6 inches wide, for whatever reason, I was doing a large frame and I want to shoot something 6 inches wide, I'm not going to have room on the shooting board to be able to do that. I need to have a much bigger shooting board. This way, if I can have it removable, in and out, it's going to be a whole lot easier. All right, going to shoot, oh, sorry, going to cut from this side, and wherever the clamp is, just here. It's very important that if you're going to get one of these, you get this kind of a clamp as well. Okay, wait for the dog. I'm going to put earmuffs on. I think I've got some there, because it is scratchy, noisy. I wonder how many people, before power tools were brought into existence, I wonder how many people had hearing problems just from hand tools. Here we go. This is a nice saw. So I've got a link for the 500. This is the 600. That's a lovely saw. There's an affiliate link there. I'll let you know it's an affiliate link straight off in the description box below the video. There we go. All right, undo those. We're going to finish just about on time, so there's a couple of minutes to go. I like it. So if you've got a situation like Derek has, where he goes away for a fair bit, and he's got another place somewhere, you could have one garage set up with little hand tools just to keep you going, and the other one with all your fair dinkum gear. Not that that isn't fair dinkum. All right, let's have a look, see how this shooting board works. Where are we? What am I going to do? I'm going to run it like so. I'll put a couple of dogs in, so it's not going to go anywhere. There, and there. I might put a couple there. I love it. I love my bench. There we go. It's perfect. I can do something like that and have a shooting board coming back the other direction, left-handed for 90 degrees, but I'm not going to. Here what I can do is I could put a butt section like so and have that, and that would work. But here what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with some wax. So it's just a candle. Melamine is pretty slippery, but I also like to have candle wax for the plane to ride against and against the side as well. And don't worry about doing this part yet, because it's going to get shaved off in our initial go at it. Let's see. So it feels good. Go right the way through. All the way back here. I'm going to flip her over and go the other way as well, because I want to clean off this little bit here. That might be bugging me further down the track. Hear that? So it has only just shaved the top of the board here. Now we're going to get a piece of this, and you can see, have a look at that now, a bit rough. Put it in there. Oop. It's coming up nicely. And you can see the shavings coming up there. I can, if I want to, use a low angle. I'm using the big plane because it's got some beef behind it, so I'm going to give it a bit of speed. That's pretty nice. We want to check for square. I'm not using that square. There we go. I'll just hold it there. You tell me what that's like. That's pretty good. And our 45, all it's doing is replicating what was there. Where is that square? The 45. It'll be right in front of me. I know it'll be right in front of me. There it is over here. So that's pretty good. And the other thing you can do to stop it moving around, you can do the same we did with the miter saw. I'll do it on this one. This one we haven't touched yet. See, it's all rough. I'm going to put it slightly proud. It's slightly proud of everything. And I'm going to put a clamp on there so it can't go anywhere. Now when I'm planing, it's not going to try and slide it down. I don't want to use cushion strip here because it's soft and it will compress and it will give me a wrong angle. Okay, so let's go to CalCam. Yeah. There's the edge. So now I can use two hands. Actually, that might be good to move it along a little bit so you can see all of it. And then that'll be just about it. I'm loving it. There. There. That's going to be a better view for you guys. And there. And there. And back. Okay, now I can use two hands on it. I don't have to worry about holding this at all. And hey presto. Beautiful. It's just a little bit of change of grain there. All right, let's see how we went. All right, that's looking pretty good there. I'm going to turn this upside down so we can see it better against the white. That's a pretty neat miter. You got to say that. You got to admit it. Let's see for square. I'm going to bring this up inside it. Just ever so slightly out. I need to fine tune it just a touch. Just a touch. Try it the other way up, this way. There was some rough stuff on there. Just a touch. Now that might be from one of the pieces that when I was planing it without the clamp. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with the clamp again. Now my suggestion when you're making one of these is rather than drill the second hole straight away, put a screw in here. Just put a screw down there, and then if it's not right, you can just sneak it a little bit, undo the screw, move it just a little bit, one way or the other way, and then drill the hole again. Or sorry, put another screw in, and then eventually you'll drill the hole with the locating dowel, and it's going to be perfect. Now, which one was it that we did last? Well, I'm going to do them all. And I'm going to try doing it with the low angle jack. See if that's going to work. So for end grain, low angle jacks are probably going to be better. Let's have a look. Let's lock that in. It's wandering around. Except for I don't really have it down deep enough. It's not doing anything there because it's not exposed. I've left it up. That's better. Let's see what that does. Still not cutting. I haven't set it deep enough. Let's go back to the turner, which we know is working. I need a screw down here as well. Do you see the end of it was just flexing just a touch? No time like the present. Let's do it. Right here. And then this guy, create a countersink. I love it. So good. This one back in. And I have a long screw here to go in it. And that should help it. Gotcha. Yeah, there's no flex there now. I'll do the other end. How nice is that? Look at that. Come back to me a little. And look at these down here. That's just beautiful. All right. And we'll do this one again, just a little bit. All right, let's have a look. And the square. Still just a touch. I need to adjust it in the fine tuning. It's just a little bit, but it's got to be done. I might do that during the show, during the after show at Patreon. Okay, I'm going to check that we've got everything done down here. Read my list. Yes, all of that. Thanks to my patrons as well. Come back to this camera. So these patrons get their name read out. That's part of the deal. Johannes, Mohr, John Parra, Vincent, Ngian, Peter Woolworth, Pastor or Reverend Brett Guthrie. Sorry about that, Brett. Mike Deam, Wayne Cargill, Mr. Blue Eyes, John Peckham, Graeme Bland, and Russell Hibbs. Thank you very much. If you want to join in on Patreon, there's a link down the bottom. You can come and join us in the live chat after. We run for about half an hour, just chew the fat, talk about the show and other things that have been happening during the week that aren't normally talked about on the show. All right. Thanks to everybody for helping me out there, and I shall see everybody next week. Thanks for watching. See you later.